Today we're going to compare the Samsung S10e versus the Pixel 4 XL, and both of these do have dual cameras. If you prefer using ultra wide angle lens, then definitely go with the Samsung S10e. Now if you notice you use telephoto a lot, then the Pixel will do a pretty good job. So this is just a test of the front-facing camera, and from my experience, I think the Samsung is a really great overall package in terms of the quality of the pictures and video, but for just pictures, it's gotta be the Pixel for me. For portrait mode, straight off the bat, Samsung can let you change the background blur effect, whereas on the Pixel 4, you can do it later after the fact you take the picture, so it's more steps in to change the background. For my portrait mode experience, I do like the Pixel 4 much better just because it's more of a point and shoot situation, where on the Samsung, it's kind of telling me that I have to wait or move around and adjust until the effect is ready. Another pro for the Pixel is that you can actually zoom in while you're doing portrait pictures, whereas on the Samsung you're stuck with just that one focal length. As I'm looking at these side by side, I feel like the cutout is a little bit better on the Pixel 4 as well, along with the background, because for me, I do like portrait mode in terms of the actual compressed background, just like in portrait mode lens. So for the Samsung, it's really wide and it doesn't feel like a traditional portrait picture. But also having it wide can be a pro to some people, just because if they want to take a picture of their food or drink in their hands, then it's much more easier to take on a Samsung than a Pixel. But for the front-facing camera side, I do favor the Samsung just because as you look at my black sweater, there's so much noise on the Pixel 4. So the Samsung does win for the front-facing camera, but I do like the back on the Pixel better. For everyday situations, this is more black or white. If you like taking ultra-wide angle lenses, then of course go with the Samsung. If you do more telephoto, then go with the Pixel. The ultra-wide angle lens does give a really epic perspective when you take pictures, and of course it's more handy when you're in really tight areas. Now even though the Samsung doesn't have a zoom lens, I try to zoom in with the same focal length as the Pixel. The Pixel is of course way sharper, and even though when I'm zooming in max, I'm just surprised how sharp the Pixel pictures come out to be. But for just a casual person who wants to take pictures of their moments, both of these cameras are really good, so you can't really go wrong with either or. For HDR, I would say the Pixel is a little bit better because with these trees in the front where it's pretty dark and with the bright background, I'm still seeing more detail as I'm zooming in on the Pixel than the Samsung. Now for low light, both of them are really similar as well. The only difference for me is that the color. The Samsung does have a bit more saturated look, so it does stick out a bit more. On a Pixel, it's more of a neutral look. One downside on the Samsung is that when it gets dark, the ultra wide angle lens become kind of useless because a lot of pictures comes out dark. And this is where the Pixel takes off with the bigger advantage. It's surprising that how much software end of things work on the Pixel to create a really sharp picture. For example, I can actually kind of make out some of the words on the Pixel, whereas on the Samsung it's all blurred lines. For night mode, I do prefer the Samsung much better just because it's more natural looking, whereas on the Pixel, it kind of looks forced daylight. And in some of these pictures, especially the grass, it looks really oversaturated or way too green, or it looks to the point where it's fake on the Pixel. Moving on to video, for stabilization, the Pixel does slightly better because I can kind of see my up and down movement on the Samsung. For the colors, it's obvious that the Samsung is more poppy and more saturated, as you can tell with the red shirt or red jacket and the ground with the leaves. When we move on over to the ultra wide angle lens on the Samsung, the stabilization is way better than the Pixel. It almost looks like I'm on a gimbal. And the Samsung does have 4K 60, even though it's not stabilized. It's nice to have a lot of video options available because some people do need options, and if they want to shoot video, then of course the Samsung is going to be the better choice. Now moving on to low light, this is where it's kind of surprising to me because I honestly do like the Pixel footage much better than the Samsung. And mainly it's because I'm seeing way less micro jitters on the Pixel, because each time I'm taking a step, you can kind of see the shake on the Samsung, whereas on the Pixel, I'm barely seeing any. Now for the ultra wide angle lens, it's not going to perform as well as the main camera, so right here is just a straight up loss. And then we have the 4K 60, which I think looks the cleanest just because there's no micro jitters at all. So to conclude, both are really good cameras. I would say if you're shooting more of objects and people, then the Pixel may look better, and if you're doing more landscapes, architectures, I would prefer the Samsung. Now when you're in lower light situations, this is where I would say the Pixel outright wins. For the ultra wide angle lens, the quality isn't going to be as good, so you're not going to use that as much. And I don't want to zoom in at all because the quality is not going to be as good. So now I'm just stuck with the main camera lens. So that's my experience with these two phones, and if I were just to grab a phone right now, I would pick the Pixel over the Samsung. Mainly because for one, it's really easy to use, and second, it's a great all-day camera. Whether I'm indoors, outdoors, sunny days, rainy days, in really dark restaurants or bars, the Pixel will give me the most confidence in getting great pictures. So that's my comparison. Please follow me on Instagram, give a like, subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.